So 14 solar panels on the roof. House is only a year old. There is an electric car charging point, not that that's particularly relevant. But there was something I wanted to ask you about that, but we can cover that off later on. So this is the battery that I bought and had provisionally connected up just to check that it was all working. I have a DC, here's a proper DC one, not an AC one, breaker, which I was going to connect up here. These cables are 50mm, they run along the wall and up through an internal cavity where the soil pipe comes down up into the loft. So I sort of partitioned off this section of the back of the garage to create a bit of a storage room. So the idea I was thinking was if I take this shelf out and put it where this battery currently is, that'll free up space at the back of the garage here on the wall. And that's where I think would be a place we could put the inverter. On the other side of this wall is where I thought we put the battery externally. So if I whip round here quickly, there's the electricity boxes. They're on this side, and obviously would make it easier if we needed to access those. So battery somewhere here in some sort of shed, like I don't know, a foot deep or something. But IP65 rated, as you suggested. Cables for the solar will come down the side of the wall here, go through the wall into that storage room at the back of the garage where the inverter would be, and obviously the battery would be here, so another hole for the cables for the battery. And then the cables that come from the inverter to the PV meter potentially could run along the top of the wall here, because the consumer unit and PV meter is just the other side of here. If I come around and show you, there's the consumer unit, just the other side. Isn't it covered just off the kitchen? But this is the other side of the wall of the garage. So there's a isolator here, and the PV solar generation meter there. So it would be pretty straightforward in theory to put cables through the wall here and run them either through this ceiling void here, or if possible along the wall, and then straight down here and through there. They were already running cables. They came like this. That's the light switch for the garage. There is a smoke alarm in here which is linked to another alarm in there, which I think is a heat alarm, not a smoke alarm, which is then linked in with another alarm in the hallway, so they all talk together. If one of them goes off, they all go off. We'll just go up in the loft as well, so you can see quickly what's up there. So here's the inverter in the loft. So there is the usual isolator up here as well, and you see the cables there which were connected to the inverter, obviously aren't anymore. On the other side of here, I've got a 2 terminal blocks, because the 50mm cable that comes from the garage was too big to connect into the inverter, because the connectors to the inverter are 25mm. So it made most sense. I was going to install a 125 amp fuse on the red cable there. I've got it in the garage, I just hadn't got around to fitting it yet, but obviously that's probably not relevant anymore. The solar cables actually run from the other end of the garage, so they come through here, go down about 1 metre, across about 8 metres, and then that's probably another 1.5 metres. So it's probably about 12 metres of length of the solar cables there. This is the end of the wall where the garage is and where the battery and the inverter and things would be. So the solar cables will go through here, down the outside of the house, and then back into the garage on that side. There is actually a smoke alarm up here, which I think is probably the only justification they use for fitting the inverter up here. But access is good. It's all boarded up here, so it's easy to come up and make holes. There is actually just down there as well, a 3-pin socket as well for running a power drill quite easily up here in the loft. This was all pre-installed by the builders. So yeah, solar cables will go through the wall here, down the side of the house, and then into the back of the garage. The inverter, that'll all get disconnected, taken down and put at the back of the garage, and then the battery mounted on this side of the house, but obviously down at the bottom, and then those cables will come through the wall into the back of the garage where the inverter would be. Hopefully that all makes sense.